Being the black sheep of a wealthy family isn't easy, especially when your crime is choosing your own path instead of the one they planned for you. I'm Julia, and this is the story of how my family learned that sometimes the person they call a failure holds all the power. My grandfather, George Hamilton, built Hamilton Industries from nothing. Starting with a small machine shop in 1960, he transformed it into a multi-million-dollar manufacturing empire. Everyone in our family worked there, uncles, aunts, cousins, everyone except me. Such a disappointment, my Aunt Margaret would say at family gatherings, loud enough for everyone to hear. The oldest grandchild, and she chooses to be a teacher. What a waste of potential. What they didn't understand was that Grandpa had taught me something more valuable than business tactics. He'd taught me to follow my heart. During our private conversations in his study, while everyone else was networking at family parties, he'd tell me stories about his own journey. You know, Julia, he'd say, his eyes twinkling, everyone thinks I built this company because I wanted to be rich. But the truth is, I built it because I loved creating things. The money just followed. Those moments with Grandpa were precious, especially since the rest of the family seemed determined to remind me of my failings. My cousin Richard, who managed the company's finance department, never missed an opportunity to compare his six-figure salary to my teacher's income. Still grading papers for pennies? He'd smirk. You could be driving a Mercedes like mine if you'd joined the family business. I'd just smile and change the subject. What they didn't know was that Grandpa and I shared something special, a love of learning and teaching. He might have built a manufacturing empire, but his passion was helping others grow. Then came the day everything changed. Grandpa had a stroke during a board meeting. The doctor said he would recover, but he needed time and rest. The family immediately started fighting over who would run the company in his absence. My father and his brothers each claimed they were best suited to take control. My cousins argued that the younger generation should have more say. The family dinner that followed Grandpa's hospitalization was more like a corporate takeover battle than a gathering of concerned relatives. We need to modernize, Richard declared. Sell to one of the big conglomerates while our market value is high. Grandpa would never want to sell. I protested. Oh, look who's suddenly interested in the business, Aunt Margaret sneered. Stick to your little classroom, Julia. Leave the important decisions to those of us who actually work in the company. But something felt wrong about their plans. I remembered all those conversations with Grandpa, how he talked about the company as more than just a business. It was his legacy, his way of providing for generations to come. 2 weeks later, Richard called an emergency family meeting. He was practically bouncing with excitement as he announced that Global Manufacturing had offered to buy Hamilton Industries for $25 million. This is our chance, he declared. We can all cash out and never have to work again. The family erupted in celebration. Even my father, who had always supported my career choices, was caught up in the excitement of the potential windfall. Julia, he said, you'll never have to teach again. You can finally live like a proper Hamilton. I sat quietly, remembering Grandpa's words about money following passion rather than the other way around. Something about this whole situation felt wrong. We just need everyone's signatures, Richard announced, producing a stack of documents. The lawyers say that according to Grandpa's original company charter, all adult family members need to agree to any sale. He started passing out the papers, but then one of the lawyers cleared his throat. Actually, he said, looking uncomfortable, there's something else. The charter has a specific clause about the role of the oldest grandchild. The room went silent. Every eye turned to me. What clause? Richard demanded. The lawyer adjusted his glasses and read from the document. In the event of any sale or major restructuring of Hamilton Industries, the consent of the oldest grandchild shall be required, and their signature shall carry veto power over all other family members. You could have heard a pin drop in that room. My aunts and uncles stared at me in disbelief. Richard's face turned an interesting shade of red. That's ridiculous, he exploded. She doesn't even work for the company. But the lawyer was already pulling out more documents. Mr. Hamilton was very specific about this when he updated the charter 5 years ago. He said the oldest grandchild would have the clearest perspective on the company's true value. I remembered that time. It was right after one of our long talks about education and legacy. Grandpa had asked me so many questions about my teaching philosophy, about how I measured success in my students' lives. This is absurd, Aunt Margaret declared. Julia knows nothing about business. She can't possibly make this decision. Actually, I said quietly, I think I understand exactly why Grandpa did this. I pulled out my phone and showed them something I'd been researching since the sale was first mentioned. The company's Community Impact Report. Hamilton Industries wasn't just a manufacturing company. It was the largest employer in our county. It provided scholarships to local students, funded community programs, and supported dozens of small businesses in its supply chain. Global manufacturing has a history of buying companies like ours and stripping them down, I explained. They lay off workers, close local facilities, and extract every bit of value they can. Is that what Grandpa built this company for? But $25 million. Richard protested. We'd all be set for life. We're already set for life, I countered. The company makes plenty of money. The only difference is that right now, it also serves a purpose beyond just making us rich. I stood up, feeling Grandpa's influence in every word. I'm not signing those papers. And before anyone tries to pressure me or challenge this legally, you should know that Grandpa and I discussed this possibility extensively. He left videos and documents explaining exactly why he gave this power to me. The room erupted in chaos. Threats, accusations, and guilt trips flew from every direction. But I stood firm, remembering all those quiet conversations in Grandpa's study, understanding now that he had been preparing me for this moment all along. Over the next few weeks, the family tried everything to change my mind. They offered to cut me in for a larger share. They threatened to cut me out of future profits. They even tried to argue that my teaching career meant I wasn't mentally fit to make business decisions. But then something unexpected happened. The workers at Hamilton Industries heard about the potential sale and organized a town hall meeting. Hundreds of employees and their families showed up to voice their concerns about what a corporate takeover would mean for their lives. I attended that meeting, sitting quietly in the back, listening to person after person talk about how working for Hamilton Industries had changed their lives. How Grandpa had given them chances when no one else would. How the company's education programs had helped their children go to college. The next day, I called a family meeting of my own. I want to show you something, I said, playing videos from the town hall meeting. This is Grandpa's real legacy. Not the money in our bank accounts, but the lives we've touched. Even Richard was quiet as we watched. When the videos ended, I laid out my own proposal. Instead of selling, why don't we honor what Grandpa built? We can modernize without destroying the company's soul. I've been talking to some of the younger engineers. They have amazing ideas for new product lines and sustainable manufacturing processes. To my surprise, my father spoke up first. She's right, he said. Dad didn't build this company just to have us sell it to the highest bidder. Over the next few months, something remarkable happened. Instead of fighting my decision, the family began to work together to improve the company. Richard's financial expertise proved valuable in funding new initiatives. Aunt Margaret's networking skills helped U.S. establish partnerships with sustainable technology providers. And me? I kept teaching, but I also started spending more time at the company, creating education programs for employees and their families. It turned out that being a teacher was exactly what Hamilton Industries needed to move into the future. Grandpa recovered enough to return home, though he retired from active management. The first time I visited him after blocking the sale, he was sitting in his study, surrounded by the books and mementos of his life's work. You understood, he said simply, taking my hand. You understood that success isn't just about money. You taught me that, I replied. All those conversations we had, you were preparing me, weren't you? He smiled. I knew you were the only one who would see beyond the dollar signs. Teaching isn't just about sharing knowledge. It's about understanding what truly matters. The family's attitude toward me changed after that. The snide comments about my career choice stopped. Instead, they began to see that my perspective as an outsider, combined with my understanding of Grandpa's values, had saved something precious. Hamilton Industries continued to grow, but now with a renewed focus on community impact and sustainable practices. Our profits actually increased as we became known as a company that cared about more than just the bottom line. Last week, Richard approached me after a board meeting. I was wrong about you, he admitted. I thought being successful meant having the biggest salary and the fanciest car. But what you did protecting Grandpa's legacy, protecting all these families, that's real success. The family failure, as they once called me, had become the family conscience. My signature, which they had assumed would be easily obtained for their quick payday, had instead forced them to confront what truly mattered. Grandpa's health improved enough for him to start visiting the company occasionally. During his first visit back, he asked to see the education center we had created, a place where employees could take classes, learn new skills, and help their children with homework. This, he said, looking around at the busy study areas and computer labs, this is exactly what I hoped you would create. You took what I built and made it better. The family learned something important through this experience. Success isn't just measured in dollars and cents. Sometimes the person they see as a failure is actually the one who understands the true value of things. I still teach, still grade papers for pennies, as Richard used to say. But now I also help guide Hamilton Industries toward a future that balances profit with purpose. My signature, the one they so desperately needed, wasn't just about blocking a sale. It was about protecting a legacy. The teachers and students at my school sometimes ask me why I keep teaching when I could just work at the family company full-time. I tell them what Grandpa taught me. Do what you love, and success will follow. Sometimes that success is measured in dollars, but more often it's measured in the lives you touch and the differences you make. The family failure turned out to be the family's salvation, not because I knew more about business than they did, but because I understood what Grandpa had known all along. That true success is about more than money. It's about building something that makes the world a little better, one signature at a time.